Do you want to know two of the most important things that you can do if you want to live a longer, healthier, and more active life? Then watch this video and you're going to learn what to do, how to do it, and some science behind how and why it works. One of the key predictors of losing your independence when you age is when you can no longer do some of the basic physical functions of life, like get up out of a chair or lift things over your head. So it's important throughout our lives to build muscle, or at the very least preserve it as we age. Once you cross about 30 years old, you start to lose about 5% of your muscle mass per decade. And it gets even worse. Once you pass 50 years old, you lose about 10% of your muscle mass per decade. That's critical. And if you've been overweight and tried calorie restricting diets over the years, then you've probably sacrificed even more muscle mass. I'm focusing on muscle because the quality and quantity of the muscle that you have affect two very important aspects of your health. First of all, muscle is the metabolic furnace of your body. It's what consumes about 80% of all the calories that you consume throughout the day. So therefore, the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to consume even at rest. Second of all, muscle is the engine that moves your body through the world. So the better quality and quantity of muscle you have, the better quality and quantity of movement you'll be able to have. So now that we've laid the groundwork, let's take a look at the activities and the science behind them that will help you avoid, for as long as possible, some of the negative consequences of aging, and maybe even turn back the clock a little bit. As we get older, there's a process called sarcopenia that sets in and afflicts more than 50% of older adults. That process is characterized by a loss of muscle mass and strength, and it also affects your balance. Another fact that plays in here is that over 70% of all American adults right now are overweight or obese. I think the obesity number is around 42%, 44%, so it's a pretty big number. I think that has more to do with a lack of muscle and the causes associated with that than it does with just too much fat.
There are plenty of examples of people who are fit and active in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. These people don't have special genetics, but what they do have in common with each other is the two key ingredients to being able to achieve that result. Those two ingredients are exercise that stimulates muscle and a diet that supports muscle growth. Now let's hear from one of the many experts on this subject, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
What if I told you that everything you've heard about obesity is wrong? What if I told you that we don't have an obesity epidemic, but what we really have is a midlife muscle crisis? The defining moment came for me when I was doing my geriatric and nutritional science fellowship at Washington University. In my time in clinical practice, I've seen thousands of patients, from overweight to obese, 65 years up and to the end of their life. And out of all those patients, one stood out. And her name was Betsy. Betsy had big brown eyes and an even bigger smile. In her mid-50s, a mother of 3 girls. She'd always struggled with the same 20 pounds. Now, at the time, I was doing obesity research. I was looking at body composition and brain function. And I will never forget what I saw when I imaged Betsy's brain. It looked like the beginning of an Alzheimer's brain. And it reminded me of all of the patients that I was seeing on the nursing home rounds, on the weekends, in the dementia ward. And I knew that one day, Betsy was going to be there. You see, we failed Betsy. I failed Betsy. She had spent a lifetime yo-yo dieting, being told to cut back calories, focus on fat, focus on the pathology of fat, rather than building and maintaining the health of her skeletal muscle. And she traded one problem for another. Did she lose weight? Yes, of course she lost weight. And in that process, she destroyed her metabolism, her muscle, and damaged her brain. Everybody kept telling me this was just the standard of care. This was just how treatment went. Well, you know what? That wasn't good enough for me. That answer wasn't good enough. So I dove into the research and I realized that all of my sickest patients had one thing in common. They all had unhealthy muscle. Betsy was not overfat. She was undermuscled. The more healthy muscle you have, the stronger your capacity, the greater your energy, the better your ability to fight, because muscle is the organ of longevity. Now, I'm going to give you 3 strategies for maintaining the health of your muscle. But before I do, I want to lay the foundation for you. 73% of adults are either overweight or obese. Our health is in shambles because of our obsessive focus on body fat. How are we still struggling? Why are there so many Betsy's? Because obesity at its core is a disease of the muscle. We don't have a battle of the belly. What we have is a battle of the bicep. Now, if you fail to understand this concept, you too will be struggling with those same 20 pounds for a lifetime. We need to change the paradigm of medicine and think about muscle as medicine. Muscle is so much more than looking good in a bikini, although that's a plus. It's so much more than athletic performance and movement. Muscle is your metabolic sink, and it is your body armor. Muscle is your site for energy metabolism. Muscle will give you and augment a robust immune system. Now, what happens from a lifetime of overeating and underexercising? That metabolic sink, that skeletal muscle that is responsible for carbohydrate metabolism, fat burning, that sink gets clogged up, and your muscle looks like a marbled steak rather than a fillet. Now, we have been fighting the wrong battle. For 50 years, we have been fighting obesity. And for 50 years, we've been getting worse. The more healthy muscle mass you have, the research is clear, the greater your survivability against nearly every disease. That is very rare to be able to say in medicine. We also know that the primary ways to support muscle health are resistance exercise and dietary protein. 23% of adults are meeting their exercise requirements. 23%. We know that as individuals age, muscle mass, strength decline. Resistance exercise offers us the closest thing to the fountain of youth that we have. We know that resistance exercise and dietary protein act synergistically to protect muscle health. So, did you know that 40% of women over the age of 65 don't meet the daily requirements for protein? I recommend all my patients have 40 grams of high-quality protein at that first and last meal of the day. Anything below that amount does not protect muscle in the same way. Muscle is made from protein. And I recommend high-quality protein, which include lean meats, chicken, fish, eggs, and dairy. Now, you're probably hearing the narrative that we should cut back on our high-quality protein. The unintended consequences of this will be devastating. According to the USDA nutritional guidelines, we're getting 70% of our calories from processed foods, processed grains, and sugars. We don't need a diet that is lower in high quality protein. What we need is a better diet that includes both plants and animals. Protein is not the problem, it is the solution. Now, this is a big fight. This is my fight, and this is your fight. This is our fight. And this is our fight for muscle, and that begins today. I'm going to share with you 3 strategies. But before I do, I want you to promise me something. I want you to promise to share it with the Betsy in your life. And then I want you to share it with 3 more people. Number 1, resistance exercise 3 days a week. 3 days a week till you want to quit, and then you're going to keep going. Number 2, increase your high quality protein. Number 3, increase your protein threshold at that first and last meal of the day.
They say that knowledge is power, but only if we choose to use it. They also say that life is about choices, and there are certainly some choices that we can make that can improve the quality of our lives.
I hope you found this information useful, and I hope sincerely that you use it to help improve the quality of your life for years to come. Thanks for watching.